Look at my bees, and here I am collecting fruit for the jam.
She wants us to listen to her like she's a founder because she took all that money and launched her stupid-ass lifestyle brand with jam.
You can't get to be a billionaire selling pots of jam.
All she does now with her jams that are crap is post pictures of her children left, right and centre, which has me always thinking, well, hold on a second, you duplicitous woman, how does that make any sense?
If Meghan wants to clean up her act, she's got some serious work to do, and not the kind with jam jars and mood boards.
This woman is a born manipulator. The Netflix thing, she doesn't do the work. She don't make the jams. It's all made for her.
And after the comedy of errors that was American Riviera Orchard and the ongoing chaos of Manic Meg's scam jam car crash as ever, perhaps caution is called for here.
They called it the Montecito Dream, an American duchess and her once warrior prince swapping palace walls for California sunshine. But while the cameras fixate on that rose blush facade, insiders whisper a very different number, $20 million. That, they say, is the annual burn rate just to keep this fairy tale bubble floating.
He's gonna have to, old Meghan, sell 2.5 million pots of jam over the next year to make 15 million.
Picture the scene: chefs prepping farm-to-table brunches, chauffeurs idling beside electric SUVs, nannies rotating through playdates that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Now slide a single mason jar of luxury loose fruit spread onto the marble countertop. Retail price, $14. To cover 1 year of Montecito magic, Meghan would need to move roughly 2.5 million jars that still have to be cooked, bottled, labeled, shipped, and promoted with those carefully lit flower sprinkle selfies.
Her imposter syndrome is adorable. I don't know who she's trying to convince. I'm probably us, since we talk about it pretty regularly.
Let's break that down. At a realistic margin, industry veterans estimate she pockets maybe $6 per jar after glass, fruit, marketing, and that chic recycled ribbon. Multiply 6 by 2.5 million, and you scrape the lower edge of $15 million, still shy of their rumored $20 million baseline. And that assumes every single jar sells, no breakage, no returns, no stale inventory languishing behind influencer hype. One former gourmet foods exec summed it up like this: you would literally need a jam assembly line running night and day, plus global supermarket shelf space, just to tread water.
We spent so much time making sure we had so much more inventory. That's why we took the time, and you guys are doing it again. We're nearly sold out on everything, and I can't believe it. Even flower sprinkles, which I knew was going to be the big one again, so that has more inventory than all of it. And that's also about to sell out.
Yet the Duchess beams on Instagram, announcing every micro batch sold out to a chorus of emoji applause. Convenient detail, sources tell me the first drop barely cracked 1,000 units. Compare that to 2.5 million, and the math starts looking theatrical. One Montecito neighbor put it bluntly: she's staging a boutique bake sale to cover a Fortune 500 lifestyle, so where does the extra cash really come from? A hush-hush speaking fee here, a mystery production deal there, and if palace insiders are correct, subtle monetization of those royal initials stamped on Archie and Lilibet's gift baskets. But hold that thought, because the next expense category makes jam look like pocket change, and it has Prince William quietly sharpening his own financial scissors. But that, dear viewer, is only the beginning.
So I was looking at my iMessage and I thought, okay, I love this feature, and I never thought of it. Like, is it confetti or is it flower sprinkles? Thanks, everybody.
Time to walk through those iron gates, up the Palm Line Drive and into the Sussex compound itself. Realtors whisper the mansion sprawls over 20,000 square feet, 9 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, a spa room scented with imported lavender, and a wine cellar Meghan proudly calls her California Caves. That square footage carries a mortgage expert's peg at roughly $100,000 every single month. Stack property taxes on top, easily another $1,600,000 each year in Santa Barbara County. Add 24-hour security, the discreet kind that blends with the Bougainvillea at an estimated $1,000 per guard per shift. Insiders count at least 4 guards on rotation, which balloons the security bill past the $3 million mark before Christmas lights are even strung.
There is growing concern about the fact that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are now living well beyond their means, not being able to rake in those big money deals, and
now picture the household staff. There is the private chef known for sourcing hand-picked citrus from Ojai, 2 full-time nannies fluent in Montessori philosophy, a grounds crew that manicures the Rose Labyrinth, and a housekeeper who once serviced a Bel Air hotel suite where A-listers tipped in Cartier candles. Payroll watchers tell me the monthly staff outlay hovers around $250,000. Just 1 month of those salaries already overshadows every jar in Meghan's debut jam batch, and we still have not tapped the streaming subscriptions for interior aromatherapy diffusers, custom yoga equipment flown in from Bali, or the seasonal Floribunda redesign that sees $1,000 orchids swapped out the moment a petal browns. Crunch it together and the arithmetic hurts. Yearly nuts and bolts upkeep flirts with $15 million before a single red carpet gown is tailored, before Archewell's next glossy video gets filmed, before Harry refuels the electric Range Rover for his weekly polo therapy. Which is why insiders laugh when they hear the phrase boutique revenue stream. A boutique pays for brunch. It does not bankroll castle-level overhead.
I couldn't brand myself independently and live off taxpayer money. It felt like quite a big violation. I essentially had to be forever beholden to taxpayer, whoever he is.
Rumor has it the couple are eyeing fresh ways to squeeze extra value from their royal aura, starting with 2 tiny titles printed on silk gift basket ribbons. But that little embellishment is already rattling William's patience, and in the next section we discover exactly how risky those 3 letters can be. A few months back, a beauty tycoon named Jamie Kern Lima posted what looked like a harmless thank you photo on social media. Center stage sat a hand-woven basket from Meghan, brimming with loose fruit spread, cookie mix, and rose petal tea. Tucked into the ribbon was a tiny ivory card printed with 3 gleaming letters, HRH, followed by the children's names. Royal Highness, the styling that Harry publicly promised he would never exploit. Cue the thunderclap. Palace insiders heard the ping of that post before their coffee cooled and raced to Windsor corridors, whispering that the Montecito brand had crossed a red line. Why does a monogram matter? In the Sandringham exit deal, the Sussexes were told they could keep their formal styles on paper, yet they must never use them for commerce. Pop those letters on a jar of jam, and suddenly $14 feels like a souvenir from the crown itself.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honor to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family.
One courtier described William's reaction with a single word: livid. The future king reportedly views those initials as sacred intellectual property, meant for official programs and christening orders of service, not influencer gift baskets. Across the Atlantic, Harry was busy in another bureaucratic skirmish, lobbying the United Kingdom Home Office to issue British passports for Archie and Lilibet that would also list HRH. A source close to the Duke insisted the titles are purely for future service, should the children ever decide to work for the monarchy. Critics call the claim absurd. How can 2 American kids raised a continent away from their uncle's coronet suddenly slip into palace livery at 18? One senior aide dryly noted that royal service does not function like a summer internship, and that passports stamped with a marketing advantage look suspiciously helpful here and now.
He fears that if Archie and Lilibet retain their HRH titles, their parents, their venal parents, will cash in on that.
Inside Clarence House, William's advisors are drafting contingency papers titled Status Clarification, essentially a legal eraser poised above those 3 letters. The prince is said to be willing to wait while his father reigns, but allies warn that the patience clock is ticking. In private conversations, William has compared the situation to a slow leak in the monarchy's roof, and next section we discover just how hard he might swing the hammer when the rain finally starts to pour. From the outside, her jam launch looked like handmade perfection. Glossy jars lined up beside garden roses, labels letter-pressed on recycled pulp, yet behind the soft focus filter lives a brutal spreadsheet. Industry vets broke down her $14 loose fruit spread and came back with a gasp. Raw organic berries, glass import fees, Californian labor, eco-shippers, plus a slice for the e-commerce platform. Knock those out and Meghan pockets roughly $6 per unit. That margin shrinks again when influencers demand complimentary cases or when a single jar cracks in transit. Suddenly, the Duchess needs to sell nearly 3 million jars merely to brush against their rumored annual spending.
If you're only releasing 10 jars of loose fruit every 2 months, it's gonna get so hard.
Now consider scale. Her first drop, the one she branded sold out, quietly totaled fewer than 1,000 units, according to warehouse documentation reviewed by a specialty foods consultant. Yes, the jars moved quickly, but the consultant laughed at the idea of upscaling that micro batch to supermarket volume. California cottage law caps homemade production unless she shifts to an industrial co-packer, which slashes that $6 margin in half. Even if she leaps to a bigger facility, grocery chains want slotting fees, marketing allowances, promotional discounts. One Whole Foods buyer told me Meghan's $14 figure would need to fall under 10 to stand a chance in the preserve aisle. At that price, her theoretical profit might cover a quarter of the yearly groundskeeping bill, nothing more. Then comes perishability. Luxury jam carries a shelf life of 9 months once it leaves cold storage. Miss the sales window and retailers demand buybacks, meaning the brand actually absorbs the loss. A London gourmet goods distributor whispered that her label approached them for an exclusive UK drop. He declined, calling it a pretty jar with no proven velocity. In other words, sales momentum dies the second social media moves on.
I do think it takes a little bit of courage to bet on yourself, and that's felt really good.
Oh yes, my proudest decision has been pumping all of my husband's inheritance money into my flop business. I found that hilarious.
One former Archewell consultant now jokes that the jam is like Harry's memoir advance. Big headlines at launch, then a long slow glide to the bargain rack. And yet Meghan keeps hinting at new flavors, teasing peach basil and wild fig on her lifestyle site. That strategy looks less like culinary passion and more like a distraction from a simple cash shortfall. Because while the press debates marmalade versus boysenberry, the couple's private security renewal date is looming, and that invoice does not care what is spread on toast. Up next, we dive into exactly how high Meghan's markup runs on every last product in her boutique empire, and why buyers might bolt once they see the wholesale truth. Retail insiders call it the Meghan markup, and once you see the numbers, you cannot unsee them. Take the hibiscus tea bags splashed across her lifestyle page, $12 for a tidy envelope that looks artisanal and oh so organic. Slide that same blend through an Illinois wholesaler, and it rings up at just under $4. The only difference is the Duchess swapped the compostable sachet for a gauzy triangle and printed archetypes of wildflowers on the label. A Beverly Hills nutritionist quipped that the real digestive aid is watching your wallet slim down with every sip. Next up, her rosy cookie mix. $14 buys a mason jar, layered like a sand painting, Instagram ready the moment it hits your doorstep. A professional baker I spoke to priced the identical ingredients at Trader Joe's for $3, mason jar included. She laughed and said the Duchess seems to be charging a $9 premium for the privilege of shaking the jar on reels. But the product that made veteran sommeliers gasp is the $28 rosé. Meghan presents it as a limited reserve, a taste of Provençal summer bottled in California sunshine. Yet Dolly Parton's entry-level rosé clocks in at $7.
If you buy it direct from them, it's like $4. So she's ripping people off. She puts 5 pots of jam on sale and goes, "We've sold out! We've sold out!"
Sourced from the same coastal region and judged pleasantly crisp by wine enthusiasts. A Hollywood agent summed it up. You are paying $21 for the story, not the grape. This strategy can sparkle in the short term. Price it high, claim scarce stock, and let FOMO do the heavy lifting. The gamble is what happens when early buyers peel off the sticker and read the fine print that says produced and packaged by a contract facility nowhere near Montecito. A luxury branding expert warns that repeat customers evaporate the moment they feel duped. Once a product loses its aura, the only way to keep shelves moving is deep discounting, and cutting prices guts those precious margins needed to cover $20 million burn rates. Which brings us to the real avalanche waiting just beyond the gift baskets: high security, hotter legal bills, and a PR spend that would make a studio chief wince. Buckle up, because the next section lifts the lid on the hidden invoices draining the Sussex coffers faster than you can say loose fruit spread. Security first. In Montecito, that means a rolling roster of former Secret Service, each one commanding close to $1,000 per shift, 12-hour minimum. Multiply that by at least 4 agents on site around the clock, and you are staring at roughly $3 million a year before hazard bonuses or holiday overtime even enter the conversation. One ex-Royal Protection officer confided that the bill can spike higher whenever Harry feels twitchy about drone sightings. He will quietly add 2 more guards for 2 weeks straight, then forget to cancel the order once the buzz dies down. Those extra days alone can cost more than a suburban mortgage for an entire year. Next comes the legal front line. Stateside, they keep a Los Angeles firm on retainer in case paparazzi cross a privacy line. London demands another team for ongoing battles over security privileges and tabloid libel. A Santa Monica entertainment attorney estimated the combined retainers at $500,000 annually, not counting billable hours that run wild when new lawsuits drop. Meghan's Spotify drama, for instance, generated weeks of contract wrangling, and the couple paid every quarter hour of it. Slide over to public relations, a conveyor belt of glossy fixes.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
After the podcast partnership crumbled, insiders say Archewell cycled through 3 communications consultants in under 12 months. Each firm arrived with promises of narrative resets. Each left a 6-figure invoice. A former consultant told me, off the record, that the Duchess loved brainstorming taglines, but balked when advised to scale back luxury optics. The result: more crises, more consultants, and a monthly PR spend that rivals the mortgage on their estate. Tally security, legal and image management, and you edge toward $8 million before groceries hit the credit card. That is why staff turnover inside Archewell has become a revolving door. One junior aide described the cash flow spreadsheet as a bloodletting in slow motion. Another, now part of the self-styled Sussex Survivors Club, whispered that board meetings feel like triage. Everyone sees the hemorrhage, but no one agrees on the cure. And looming over every heated Zoom call is a date circled in red, the next retainer renewal. Miss that payment and the protective shield drops. But insiders warn the real fallout could come sooner, in a high-stakes boardroom showdown where hard numbers meet royal ambition. Stay close, because the patience of investors is wearing thin, and the next decision might slice deeper than any tabloid headline. Kensington Palace looks serene on the outside, but step inside William's private study and the tension hums like a live wire. Courtiers say the prince keeps a slim folder on his desk marked EOS, status clarification, nothing flashy, just parchment, a fountain pen, and the outline of a future royal order. Its purpose is simple: end the HRH question once and for all. William, raised to prize duty over drama, sees the Sussex title saga as a slow leak in the crown's roof. Every time those 3 letters land on a California gift basket, a little more trust drips away. And trust, he tells aides, is the monarchy's true currency. He has already consulted constitutional scholars, who confirm the monarch alone can rescind styles. Friends say William will not move while his father reigns, out of respect and perhaps a touch of caution. But he has commissioned discreet polling that shows public support tilts sharply in favor of a streamlined royal roster, HRH reserved for full-time service, no exceptions.
William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
Even longtime royalists in Gloucestershire pub chatter agree. Use the title or lose it. Behind the scenes, he is shoring up allies. Princess Anne, famously allergic to nonsense, is said to back any measure that protects the institution. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh believe clarity will spare their children future headaches. Even Queen Camilla, once wary of reopening old wounds, now concedes that commercial exploitation of styles risks cheapening the crown's charitable work. One aide likened the mood to waiting for a storm. Everyone senses the barometric pressure dropping, but no one can predict the first crack of lightning. For Harry and Meghan, that lightning could strike without warning. A royal decree delivered by courier, websites updated overnight. HRH quietly erased from official reference the way a teacher rubs chalk from a board. The marketing shine would dull in an instant, leaving the Montecito brand to stand on its own price tags and social metrics. And here's the rub. Palace insiders hint the draft order is already complete, needing only William's signature when the moment finally comes. So the question lingers like thunder in the distance. Will the Duke and Duchess pivot before that signature meets the page? Or will they ignore the gathering clouds? In the next section, we turn to Archewell's internal freefall and why some staff claim the storm is already inside the house. Archewell once strutted through Hollywood like a shiny new startup, all sleek pitch decks and buzzwords about compassion media. Then the first domino toppled. Spotify nixed the podcast deal, and industry titan Bill Simmons branded Harry and Meghan grifters on air. Investors felt the chill. Inside, the Culver City office staff whispered that the cancellation cost the foundation near $20 million in future milestones. The blow landed hardest on junior producers who had already storyboarded season 2. 2 quit on the spot, citing burnout and whiplash. 1 checked into a wellness clinic days later, joining what disillusioned ex-employees now call the Sussex Survivors Club. Netflix looked safer, yet sources reveal the streamer quietly demanded concept revisions and a trimmed production budget after early content underperformed. Meghan's animated Pearl vanished in the shuffle, and Harry's polo-centric doc stalled in development limbo. Every rewrite meant fresh consultant fees and more legal redlining, bleeding cash that PR could no longer spin as growth.
What is she talking about? What is that all about? Flower sprinkles? They're not going to sell out unless you're only selling 7 sprinkles.
Ari Emanuel's agency was supposed to engineer brand partnerships, but insiders say Meghan balked at feedback about toning down luxury optics. The relationship soured and another retainer evaporated. Morale collapsed. Slack channels fell silent apart from frantic deadline pings. HR brought in a resilience coach, but attendance at the virtual sessions hovered in single digits. Staffers complained they were expected to defend royal controversies one day, pitch sunscreen sponsors the next, and somehow launch a jam line that ships nationwide without clear logistics. One senior manager likened the workflow to bailing water from a yacht while someone drills new holes in the hull. The monthly burn rate reportedly outpaces incoming revenue by double digits, a gap now bridged by Harry's book advance and the last of his inheritance. Board members have scheduled what one source calls a come-to-Jesus meeting. Either the foundation slashes costs or new capital must flow in fast. Absent fresh money, pink slips will follow, starting at mid-level and climbing upward. Yet the couple remain bullish in public, teasing product drops and big announcements. That disconnect has advisors nervous, because the next hammer could fall not from inside Hollywood, but from a place far more personal. Up ahead, we track the growing backlash on both sides of the Atlantic and the tax nightmare that might land if the numbers do not add up. Across the Atlantic, the mood has curdled. In the United Kingdom, grassroots monarchists once inclined to shrug now trade memes about $14 jam and $28 rosé. Breakfast radio callers vent that the couple are trading on grandma's crown while paying California tax on British fame. In the United States, once adoring talk show hosts joke about limited edition confetti sprinkles. When the Drew Barrymore show announced cookies baked from Meghan's mix, online comments flagged the markup before the segment even aired. Nielsen trackers saw a dip in demo engagement. That shift worries sponsors because sentiment graphs tend to move only one direction after the novelty phase, south. Then there is the tax specter. Two corporate forensic accountants who reviewed Archewell filings point to a possible classification snag. The foundation claims charitable mission while the product wing openly sells premium goods. If the Internal Revenue Service decides revenue from jam, tea, or rosé funnels through a non-profit shell without proper separation, fines could stack faster than flour sprinkles in a gift box.
Fantasy. I think she's lost in her own world. Look at my bees, and here I am collecting fruit for the jam.
One consultant warned that a single audit letter triggers months of discovery where every invoice and board meeting transcript goes under a microscope. Imagine Harry explaining on record how HRH titles ended up on gift baskets. The optics alone could push fickle partners to press pause. Back in Britain, parliamentary chatter has turned practical. Several members of parliament on the Public Accounts Committee privately ask whether royal-style privileges should be tax-deductible when leveraged overseas. They cannot legislate a prince out of his initials, but they can recommend adjustments to the sovereign grant if abuse is proven. That conversation circles right back to William's status clarification folder. Remove the HRH and the tax headache eases for the crown, leaving the Duchess to weather audits as a plain men's Mountbatten Windsor. Social sentiment trackers ping red whenever new Archewell news breaks. Analysts say the couple's trust reserve is draining in tandem with their cash. One more headline about inflated pricing or blurred charitable lines could provoke donor flight, sponsor withdrawal, and yes, an IRS deep dive, which sets the stage for our final turning point. Will Harry and Meghan downsize, pivot, or dig in? The reckoning is only a court order or a royal decree away, and the clock is louder than ever. Stay tuned for the final section, where we imagine the ultimate fallout and invite you to weigh in. Picture the Montecito mansion one quiet dawn 2 years from now. A courier arrives at the gate with a silk-tied envelope bearing the royal cipher. Inside lies a single sheet His Royal Highness styles for Archie and Lilibet will no longer be recognized. No press conference, no dramatic speech, just ink on parchment and an official update to the royal website. Overnight, every product label featuring those gilded initials becomes a liability. Retailers who banked on Palace Sparkle scramble to reprint packaging. Unmoved, the Internal Revenue Service posts a notice of examination, citing inconsistencies between charitable declarations and boutique profits. Legal retainers double on the spot. Within weeks, a second shock follows. A Hollywood analyst publishes raw sales data showing Meghan's luxury spread moving fewer than 80,000 jars since launch, far shy of the 2.5 million target. Investors balk, consultants bail, and Archewell's board votes to suspend all branded food ventures pending financial restructuring. Staff reductions hit fast. The once buzzing Culver City suite empties until only framed quotes about compassion hang on bare walls. Harry retreats to the polo grounds, hoping hoofbeats drown the headlines. Meghan schedules an emergency sit-down with a morning show, insisting the family remains resilient and purpose-driven, yet critics call it spin. When the interviewer asks if she regrets placing royal letters on gift baskets, she pauses, smiles, and redirects to a new children's book about perseverance. Viewers read that as an answer in itself. Streaming platforms note the sentiment trend and quietly shelve speculative projects. Meanwhile, William attends a veterans gala in London. Cameras capture him shaking hands, relaxed, his own roof now free of leaks. Courtiers whisper that the folder labeled status clarification has been filed away, its purpose fulfilled. For the crown, the matter is closed. For Harry and Meghan, the chapter is only beginning. Do they downsize, pivot to genuine philanthropy, or double down on luxury branding without royal polish? Will California cool embrace a streamlined Sussex, or turn the page to the next influencer du jour? Now it is your turn. Do you think the couple can reinvent themselves without titles and high-ticket jam, or has the fairy tale credit line finally expired? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not believe what is coming next.